Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments that divide history, moments that separate what was from what will be. Moments when silence is broken, truth is spoken, and the world listens. That's what happened on this day in that room. It wasn't just a meeting. It was a revolution dressed as a conversation. A quiet storm that would shake nations, inspire movements, and remind humanity that power belongs not to the few, but to the fearless. History doesn't announce when it's about to change, it just happens. In one room, at one moment, everything can shift. And that's what makes history powerful. It's not built in crowds, it's built in courage. That day was not about speeches, it was about spirit. The spirit of conviction. The spirit of truth. The spirit that whispers to every heart, this is your time. Real power doesn't live in conflict, it lives in conversation. Because when dialogue begins, division ends. When leaders listen, nations heal. And when vision meets understanding, miracles happen. Power isn't volume, it's vision. It's the art of listening to those who disagree and finding progress where pride once stood. That's how real change is made, not through shouting, but through speaking that awakens souls. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move despite it. Creation begins where comfort ends, and those in that meeting knew innovation doesn't come from safety. They were not afraid to fail because they believed in something greater than fear. They weren't chasing fame, they were chasing the future. That's the kind of courage that changes everything. Every invention, every movement, every victory in history began this way, with one voice saying, "Let's begin." True leadership isn't about being followed, it's about being remembered. It's not about being popular, it's about being principled. In that meeting, they didn't come to agree. They came to challenge. Because agreement is easy, but progress is earned through disagreement. Great leaders aren't afraid of friction, they use it to ignite fire. Leadership means walking alone when others retreat, and standing tall when silence would be safer. That's what separates followers from founders, noise from change. Ideas invisible yet invincible. Empires rise and fall, but an idea lives forever. In that meeting, ideas were the true weapons, sharper than any sword, stronger than any army. They understood that if you can shape a thought, you can shape the future. Because ideas travel through voices, through generations, from one heart to another until the impossible becomes inevitable. One spark can start a storm, and that's exactly what began that day. Now the question isn't what they did in that meeting. The question is, what will you do after hearing this? Because change doesn't wait for permission. It begins the moment you decide that your voice matters, your dream matters, your life matters. Every one of us carries the power to begin a new chapter. You are the next meeting that will change everything in your home, your city, your nation, your generation. So stand up, speak out, step forward. Don't wait for history to become it. And one day, when the world looks back, they won't remember who shouted the loudest, they'll remember who stood the strongest. Because that day, in that room, a meeting changed everything. And today, that power lives in you. There comes a time when destiny stops whispering and starts calling. That meeting was not just a discussion, it was a declaration. A declaration that the world can be rebuilt, not through fear, but through faith, unity, and vision. They didn't just talk about change, they became it. And in that moment, every heartbeat in that room carried a promise that the future would belong to those brave enough to believe. Because every generation has its tests. Some are tested by war, some by chaos. Ours is tested by choice. The choice between silence and courage, between convenience and conviction, between following the crowd or standing for what's right. And that meeting proved one thing, that leadership begins the moment you stop waiting for permission to lead. Every voice that rose in that room became part of a legacy, not because they were the loudest, but because they spoke when it mattered most. Voices that trembled yet told the truth, voices that disagreed yet dreamed together, voices that understood that unity doesn't mean sameness, it means strength through difference. And in that unity they found power, a power that no system, no wall, no distance could contain. Words have weight, they build, they break, they bless. That meeting reminded us that language can either divide a people or define a generation. What they spoke were not mere sentences, they were seeds planted into time. Seeds that would grow into revolutions, innovations, and ideas that would rewrite how humanity defines power. Because when words align with purpose, worlds begin to change. Every leader in that room carried a fire. Some called it ambition, some called it destiny, but the truth is it was vision. Vision doesn't ask if the world agrees, it commands the world to evolve. It burns quietly at first, but when it spreads, it becomes unstoppable. That fire is not limited to the few, it lives in all of us. It's the same fire that says, I can't just exist, I must make a difference. So protect your vision. Fuel it, speak it, live it, because when vision meets courage, miracles follow. The meeting that changed everything wasn't an ending, it was a beginning. A beginning for a generation that refuses to inherit silence. A generation that's tired of waiting for heroes because they've realized they are the heroes. We are that generation. We are the continuation of that meeting. And every step we take, every stand we make, is the echo of their courage reborn in us. So today, whether you lead a nation or just yourself, remember this. Your life is your meeting with destiny. Your choices are your legacy. Your voice is your revolution. Don't underestimate what you carry, because the same power that changed everything then is waiting to move through you now. So rise, speak, lead, and one day, when history writes your name, it will say this was the moment. This was the voice. This was the meeting that changed everything.